I got home at 4:30 on a day I never come home early, and my house greeted me like a staged crime scene. Clean, quiet, wrong. I didn't have proof yet, but my body already knew the concrete had cracked. I'm Jake Turner, 40 years old, Texas contractor, 19 years of commercial work. Pads, tilt wall, steel, schedules that don't care if you're tired or proud. I've poured foundations in heat that could melt the glue out of your boots, and I've learned one rule that holds up in every county. Prep it right and it lasts. Cut corners and it fails later when it costs the most. That's how I treated marriage. Do the work. Show up. Keep it straight. No drama. Graywood was always quiet, but that summer it had a different kind of hush. Late July. The sun was still high at 4:30 like it had something to prove. We had a delivery delay on site. Rebar didn't show. Concrete truck got pushed, and I called it early instead of paying men to stand around. I texted Megan I'd be home around the usual time. Habit. Then I drove home anyway. Dust on my jeans, sweat dried into my shirt, hands still smelling like diesel and hot plywood. I pulled into the driveway and noticed things without trying. Her car was there, which wasn't strange. What was strange was the way it was parked. Too neat, pulled in deep like she'd made room for someone else. The curtains in the front room were drawn even though it was daylight. The porch light was off, but the house had that occupied feeling, like the air had been moved around recently. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. Quiet. Not the good kind. Not the nap kind. The kind that feels like a paused TV. Like someone hit mute and walked away too fast. The thermostat was lower than she kept it. The living room smelled faintly sweet under the usual lemon cleaner, like perfume had drifted and settled into fabric. Our dog didn't come padding over to greet me. I heard nothing but the soft hum of the fridge and my own boots on the wood. I set my keys down and stood there longer than made sense. I'm not a superstitious man. I don't believe in ghosts, but I believe in patterns, hairline cracks, bad seams, the subtle bow in a wall before it gives. And in that entryway, sweat drying on my neck, I had the same feeling I get when I walk on a slab and my heel finds a hollow spot. Something in my life had been set to look normal, and whatever was wrong was close enough to smell. I didn't call her name, not at first. I just listened. The air upstairs carried a different scent. Warm vanilla. Something floral under it. Not her usual. That alone was a flag. Megan had routines like she had opinions. Fixed, sharp, unbending. If she changed something, it was because she wanted an outcome. My boots hit the first step and I climbed slowly, like I was walking to a job site after hours and didn't want to startle whatever mistake was hiding. At the top of the stairs, the hallway light was on. Our bedroom door was cracked open. I stopped at the threshold. Megan stood in front of the mirror with her back half turned. Hair down, brushed smooth like she'd spent time on it. Shoulders bare. And she was wearing a dress I'd never seen. Sheer, nude-colored, the kind designed to pretend it isn't trying while doing nothing else. It wasn't for groceries. It wasn't for family. It wasn't for me. Her eyes met mine through the glass. No scream. No scramble. No guilty flinch. Just a pause. Then the temperature dropped in her face like someone turned off a heater. "You're home early," she said. "Not why are you home? Not everything is okay. Just inconvenience." Like I'd shown up to a meeting I wasn't invited to. I took a breath and looked past her at the bed. Neat. Too neat. The kind of neat that isn't normal living, it's reset. "What's that?" I asked, nodding at the dress. She turned a little more so I could see it better. Like she was presenting it. Like it was normal. "A dress," she said. "I can see that." She watched me in the mirror the way a person watches a dog to see if it's going to bite. "Where are you going?" I kept my voice even. Came out calm on purpose. Anger had already arrived, but I didn't give it the keys. Megan's mouth tightened. Not fear. No shame. Just irritation, like I was being slow. "Out," she said. "Out where?" I asked. She picked up a small bottle from the dresser. My Christmas gift to her last year. She dabbed it on her neck without looking away from me. "With someone," she said. "Not you." There are moments that don't feel real. Not because they're dramatic, because they're clean. Too clean. Like a blade. I waited for the follow-up, the fake laugh, the "I'm kidding," the excuse that gives you something to argue with. Nothing came. She didn't panic because she wasn't improvising. She'd already rehearsed the scene where I was late and she was gone. In her head, I had a schedule problem, a delay, something to route around. "You're telling me that it's normal," I said. "It is," she replied, and the contempt in her voice wasn't loud, just settled. "It's been normal." That's when it hit harder than the dress. Not that she'd betrayed me, that she'd already filed me under background noise and moved on like it was my fault for still standing where I belonged. She expected something from me. I could see it in the way she held her chin up, like she was bracing for impact, like she'd already decided I'd be the kind of man who yells, begs, breaks something, gives her a story she could repeat later to make herself the victim. I didn't give her that. There's a moment on a job site when a pour goes sideways. Pump clogs, forms start to bow, a crew starts looking at each other like panic is a plan. The guys who lose it make the damage worse. The guys who go quiet fix it. That same switch flipped in me, not because I didn't feel it, because I felt it too clearly. My chest tightened, my hands got cold, my hearing sharpened, and then the emotion slid back behind a wall like it belonged there. All I could think was, okay, now I know what this is. Megan finished with her hair, adjusted the straps like she was dressing for a photo shoot, not walking out of our marriage. She grabbed her purse and glanced at me like she was checking whether I'd learned my place. "You going to say something?" she asked. I looked at her, really looked. Not the woman I'd built a life around. Just a person in my bedroom wearing a stranger's intention. "No," I said. That actually made her blink. She wasn't ready for quiet. She walked past me, close enough that the perfume hit like a slap. The same scent she'd worn at Christmas dinner with my parents. The same bottle I'd picked because I thought it matched her. She wore it now like a trophy. At the stairs she paused, half turning like she wanted the last word. "This isn't a big deal," she said. I let that sit in the air, heavy and stupid. Then she left. Front door, car, engine, gravel under tires, gone. I stood in the hallway and didn't chase her, didn't call, didn't text, didn't bargain with a woman who'd already negotiated my value down to zero. Because once you understand you're being played, you stop auditioning. You stop reacting on cue. You stop handing your enemy free information about what hurts you most. And you start treating it like any other failure in a structure you built. Find the weak point, map the load, and dismantle it clean so it can't fall on you. I walked downstairs like I was checking a site after a storm. Slow, quiet, eyes scanning for what didn't belong. The living room looked normal if you didn't know how to read it. Throw the blanket folded. Remote lined up. A bowl on the coffee table with keys that weren't mine. Megan liked things placed. It was her way of pretending she controlled the world. Then I saw it. Her tablet sat on the charger by the couch. Screen dark. Cable snug like it had been there all day. She must have walked past it on her way out and didn't even think about it. Because she didn't think about the consequences. She thought about convenience. I picked it up. It was warm. The lock screen lit and asked for the code. Our anniversary. That's the kind of joke life tells when it hates you. I typed it in on the first try. The screen opened like it trusted me. Like it still believed I belonged inside her life. Messages. Email. Apps stacked with little red numbers like they'd been building for months. I didn't rush. Rushing makes you miss things. I opened the thread that was already sitting there. Evan Price. Real estate guy. Perfect teeth. Handshake like a politician. I'd met him twice at charity events and once at a chamber mixer. He'd looked me in the eye, smiled, and asked about my work like he respected it. The thread read like two people talking about a project. Scheduling, planning, laughing about close calls. And then it got casual in a way that turned my stomach, like I was furniture they moved around. I scrolled back further. Kyle Mercer, IT consultant. An unforgettable face. Quiet voice. The kind of man people don't notice until he's already inside the system. Their messages were different, more frequent, more practical, like he'd become a habit. 2 affairs. Not a mistake. Not a moment. A routine. And the deeper cut wasn't the flirting or the secrecy. It was the way they talked about me. Like I was a dumb laborer. Like I existed to build and pay and stay out of the way. Megan didn't defend me. She joined in. Then I found the part that turned my anger into something colder. They weren't just cheating. They were planning. Divorce timelines. Money. What she could get. What I'd never see coming. Jokes about me being too busy to notice. Talk about making me look like the bad guy if I pushed back. I set the tablet down carefully. Not because I was calm. Because I'd just seen the full blueprint. And now I knew exactly what had to be torn out. Next morning I got up like it was any other day. Shower. Coffee. Boots. Truck. Megan's side of the bed was empty. Her toothbrush sat there like a prop. The house still smelled like her perfume. Like she tried to stain the air on her way out. I didn't touch a thing. I didn't throw anything. I didn't process it. I went to work. Concrete doesn't care what your wife did. Schedules don't pause for heartbreak. Men still expect you to know what you're doing when they're staring at a problem and waiting for direction. And that helped, because it reminded me who I was before I ever met her. All morning I ran the site on muscle memory, checked forms, signed off on materials. I walked the line where the slab would be, thinking about load paths and failure points while my phone sat heavy in my pocket like a tool I hadn't used yet. At lunch, I sat alone in my truck with the windows up and the AC running. Then I called Travis Cole. Travis and I go back to the army. Same dirt, same boredom, same moments that separate talkers from men who can function under pressure. When he got out, he didn't drift. He sharpened. He became the guy people hire when they need facts without fireworks. Private investigator now. Licensed. Careful. Quiet. He answered on the second ring. Turner, he said. No hello. No small talk. Cole, I replied. Are you still working? A pause. Like he was measuring the weight in my voice. Yeah, he said. What happened? My wife, I said. I kept it simple. 2 men. I have messages. I need names turned into timelines. Another pause. Then his tone tightened, not emotional, just focused. You safe? I'm fine, I said. I'm not calling to talk. I'm calling to move. Good, he replied. Who are they? Evan Price, I said. Real estate. Shows up everywhere. Smiles like he's running for office. Travis made a sound like he'd filed the name away. And Kyle Mercer, I added. IT consultant. Quiet. Easy to miss. That's usually the type that leaves the deepest tracks, Travis said. I want everything, I told him. Background, finances, family situations, routines. If they've got wives, I want to know who those wives are. If they've got employers, I want to know who signs their checks. If they've got debt, I want to know where it's bleeding from. What's your goal? He asked. I stared through the windshield at a line of trucks moving past the site like nothing in the world had changed. My goal is to stop being the only person in this story without options, I said. I'm not confronting anyone. I'm not threatening anyone. I'm just done being surprised. Travis exhaled once, quiet approval. Send me what you have, he said. Screenshots, dates, names. Keep your hands clean. Don't tip them off. I can clean, I said. I know, he answered. That's why you called me. Travis picked the place. A highway diner outside Graywood where the coffee tastes like it's been reheated since '98 and the booths are cracked vinyl patched with duct tape. Nobody went there unless they were passing through or didn't want to be seen. Which was the point. I slid into the booth across from him. Travis looked the same as always. Clean shave, steady eyes, posture like a man who still sleeps light. No wasted movement. He didn't ask how I was holding up. He didn't offer sympathy. He just nodded once like, we're working. He set a manila envelope on the table between us. 2 weeks of digging, he said. Fast and quiet. I didn't touch it right away. I watched his face first. If there's something in there that changes your plan, I said. Tell me before I read it. Travis leaned back an inch. It changes the math, not the direction. That was good enough. I opened the flap and started pulling paper like I was unrolling blueprints. Evan Price first. The polished guy. The public smiles. Travis had him mapped in clean lines. Business filings, credit traces, court records, patterns of cash flow that didn't match the lifestyle. He's floating, Travis said. Looks strong from the street. Inside, he's propped up. I flipped through a summary page. Missed payments, late notices, loans stacked on loans, a couple of accounts that had been shuffled around like someone trying to hide a leak instead of fixing it. And his wife? I asked. Travis tapped one line with his finger. That's the real foundation. Her family. I read it twice. Powerful last name. Local influence. The kind of family where reputations matter more than money, because money is assumed. Evan wasn't just married. He was installed. His entire successful image was tied to her and what her name opened for him. If she finds out he's lying, Travis said, he doesn't just lose a marriage. He loses his platform. I nodded slowly. I understood the platform. Every building has one beam you don't touch unless you want everything above it to come down. Kyle Mercer was next. The quiet one. Travis had pages on him too, but the pattern felt different. More frantic, more desperate. A man living in a small, controlled life with a second life bleeding out behind it. Gambling, Travis said. Not once in a while. Compulsive. I scanned the dates, the amounts, the transfers. Small at first, then bigger, then patterned like a heartbeat. Debt? I asked. Drowning, Travis said. And here's where it gets ugly. He slid one page to the top, highlighted lines, neat notes in Travis's handwriting. Kyle had been skimming, not from strangers, from his work, from accounts that relied on him being invisible. It wasn't a theory either. It was documented. Mismatched entries, rounded numbers, timing that repeated like he thought nobody would ever look close. His wife? I asked. Travis's mouth twitched. Almost a smile, but not friendly. Meticulous. Organized. The kind that keeps binders. If she's pointed at the right drawer, he's done. I sat back and let the booth creak under my weight. In my head, I wasn't seeing men anymore. I was seeing structures. Evan was a front porch with rotten posts, painted bright, smiling, ready to fall if anybody leaned on it. Kyle was wiring in a wall that was already sparking, one inspection away from burning the whole place down. Travis watched me process without interrupting. He knew better than to fill the air. Finally, I slid the papers back into the envelope, slow and clean. You didn't have to dig this deep, I said. I did, he replied. Because you're not looking to yell. You're looking to end it. I looked at the envelope like it weighed more than paper. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel relieved. I felt what I feel when I find the weak seam that's been causing every problem on a build. Certainty. Because once you find the load-bearing weaknesses, you don't have to swing a hammer like an idiot. You just remove the supports. And you let the structure collapse under the weight it was always hiding. I didn't call Evan. I didn't call Kyle. I didn't ask Megan a single question. Men mess up right there, thinking the truth will behave if you grab it by the throat. It doesn't. It just slips, and suddenly you're the bad guy in a story you didn't write. So I stayed quiet and moved like I was fixing a problem nobody else needed to know existed. Travis and I sat at his office table with the envelope spread out between us. No whiskey, no ranting, just paper and a plan. You want them to feel pressure, Travis said. Or you want them exposed? I want the truth where it can't be negotiated, I told him. And I want it to come from the only people who can crush them without me lifting a finger. He nodded once. Their wives. That was the whole idea. Not revenge with fireworks. Consequences with gravity. We built 2 packets. No threats. No signatures. No dramatic notes. Just clean, verifiable pieces, enough that a smart spouse could confirm the rest on her own. Dates, screenshots, a couple of financial markers, a few lines that would make a woman stop saying my husband would never and start saying show me the statement. The first packet went to Evan's wife. It was thicker. He lived on image, so the evidence had to match the way his life was built. Polished on top, rotten underneath. Travis included the kind of details that would bother a woman from a powerful family. Suspicious charges, timeline gaps, lies that would embarrass her if she ignored them. The second wasn't a packet. It was a short tip to Kyle's wife. Kyle was a quiet man with a quiet mess, so we didn't dump a pile on her. We gave her a flashlight and told her where to aim it. Specific ledger entries. Couple of dates. The kind of nudge that would make a meticulous person go still and start pulling files. Travis handled the delivery, print, gloves, clean drop. I didn't ask how. I didn't need the choreography. I needed the outcome. When it was done, nothing changed on the outside. I still went to work, still ran crews, still answered calls, still came home to a house that felt staged. Megan texted like everything was normal. Dinner with clients. Don't wait up. Conference next week. I'll be busy. I responded with one-word acknowledgements when I had to. Okay, got it. Nothing that fed her. Nothing that gave her a scene. Because the first move had already been made. And the best part was this. I wasn't asking anyone to believe me. I was putting a thread in the right hands and letting the women who'd built their lives around those men pull it until the seams showed. That's real power. Not yelling. Not pleading. Just turning on the lights and stepping back while the roaches scramble. 10 days after the letters went out, Megan walked into the kitchen like nothing in the world had shifted. Conference, she said, grabbing a travel mug like she was an executive instead of a liar. Out by the lake. 2 nights. I nodded once. Drive safe. She watched me for a reaction, didn't get one, and left wearing that same calm like it belonged to her. The place wasn't a conference center. It was the Silver Creek Motel. Cheap stucco, buzzing sign, parking lot that smelled like sun-baked oil. Travis had it covered. Long lens, clean angles, no contact. I wasn't there. That mattered. I was on site that evening, walking a slab with my foreman, making sure a crew didn't pour too hot. The sun dropped. My phone stayed in my pocket. I kept moving, because the trap doesn't need the man who said it standing next to it. Travis texted one line later. It's starting. Here's what happened according to the photos and the timeline he wrote out like an incident report. Evan showed up first, confident. Car clean, shirt crisp, smile practiced. He parked like he owned the lot. Then his wife arrived. Not screaming, not flailing. Controlled fury. Quiet steps, straight spine. Eyes locked on the lie she'd been living inside. She didn't go crazy. She went cold. She confronted him where he couldn't manage the optics, where his charm had nowhere to hide. The argument spilled into the open fast. Voices up. People looking out windows. Evan trying to steer her away like he could guide a storm by the elbow. Megan came out in a motel robe, hair half done, face already tightening as she realized this wasn't a scene she could edit. She tried to slip past the blast radius, but Evan's wife spotted her and the spotlight swung. That's when the second collapse hit. Kyle rolled in late, nervous, hurried, and within minutes a deputy's unit pulled into the lot. Then another. Kyle's wife had found what the tip pointed to and went straight to the people who don't negotiate. Receipts, accounts, theft. Travis caught the moment Kyle understood it. The way a man's shoulders drop when he realizes the floor is gone. He didn't fight. He didn't run. He just stood there while a deputy spoke, then turned him toward the car. Megan stayed in the parking lot under flashing lights, barefoot in a robe, face stripped of its confidence. For the first time, she wasn't holding the script. She was just another person caught in the truth she thought would stay private. Megan came home after midnight. I heard her car before the headlights hit the curtains. The front door slammed hard enough to rattle the frame, like she thought volume could rewrite what happened. She stormed into the kitchen in yesterday's clothes, makeup smeared, hair thrown up like she'd done it with shaking hands. Her eyes were wild, not scared, furious. The kind of fury that comes when someone loses control and needs a target. You did this, she snapped. I was already sitting at the table. A folder lay in front of me. Neat stack. Tabs. Copies. Photos. Messages. Clean timeline. Divorce papers on top like a finished nail. I didn't stand up. I didn't raise my voice. I just slid the folder an inch toward her. Sit down, I said. She stared at it like it might bite. I'm not, she started. Sit, I repeated. Calm as a foreman talking to a man about to lose a finger, she sat. Not because she respected me, because she saw something in my face she couldn't push around. I opened the folder and turned it so she could see the first page. Screenshots of her own words, dates, names, the plan. The part where they laughed about taking me apart in court like it would be fun. Her throat moved. She swallowed. You went through my stuff, she said, reaching for the one complaint she could still pretend made her right. You left it unlocked with our anniversary code, I replied. That's not privacy. That's arrogance. She tried to regroup, tried to turn it into an argument. Evan's wife is psycho, she said. Kyle's wife called the cops. I got humiliated. You got seen, I corrected. There's a difference. Her eyes flashed. So you set them up. I leaned back, hands flat on the table. I didn't threaten anyone, I said. I didn't lie to anyone. I didn't touch anyone. I didn't even show up. I tapped the folder. All I did was make sure the truth didn't stay buried. She looked down at the divorce papers like she'd never expected paper to have weight. You're divorcing me, she said, as if saying it out loud might make it unreasonable. I'm ending this, I said. On my terms. She pushed the papers away like they were dirty. You can't just, after 15 years. You did, I said. You just did it in stages. That landed. Her mouth opened, then shut. She reached for anger again because it was easier than shame. What do you want? She demanded. I slid a pen across the table. I want you to sign, I said. Quietly. I pointed to the organized stack beside the papers. Or we do it loud. Every message. Every plan. Every little joke about me. Public record. Courtrooms love documentation. Her hands hovered over the page. I trembled once. The confidence she wore like jewelry had cracked. And now she was trying to hold it together with bare fingers. You're blackmailing me, she said. I shook my head once. No. I'm offering you the last clean exit you're going to get. She signed. Took 3 minutes. That's what 15 years cost in the end. 3 minutes of ink and a woman trying not to cry because crying would mean she'd finally admit she'd miscalculated. She left Greywood broke the way she tried to leave me broke. Only she didn't have the skill set to rebuild. She didn't have crews who'd follow her, clients who trusted her, or hands that knew how to fix what was damaged. Weeks later, a thunderstorm rolled through and she came back. Same driveway, same front porch, different faces. She stood there soaked, mascara running, voice soft like she'd found religion. Jake, she said, please, I made a mistake. I don't have anywhere else. I didn't step aside. I looked at her the way you look at a house you used to live in after you've seen the mold behind the walls. You didn't love me, I said. You loved what my work bought you. I paused, just long enough for the truth to do its work. And now you don't have it. Her lips parted. She tried to speak. I didn't give her the room. I closed the door. I locked it. Later, I stood on a rooftop at sunset. One of my projects, steel and concrete holding steady against the sky. Wind in my face. City lights waking up below like a promise. Real revenge isn't violence. It's final. It's building a life that still stands after the people who tried to sabotage you turn into dust.
Subscribe and stay one step ahead of cheaters. And trust me, the next story makes this one look like a fairy tale.